good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls and I'm your host, and I'm very, very excited to be on here today. And I'm excited about the guest that I have on the show. I've actually seen this woman. Her and I are friends, or is it she and I? Whatever. We're friends on Facebook. I've seen her her live stream videos here and there. If I'm completely transparent, and you guys know I am, I don't know that much about her except for she's awesome. I've seen her live and she's incredible, and she has a book, something about getting rid of the bully in your head and direct selling 101 and all these things. Like, this woman is like, she's intense, you'll see. So I want to go ahead and welcome my friend. Good, we're best friends.
BFFs for
my
sure.
good friend Vicki to the show. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for, first of all, that introduction and for being the BFF. I feel really privileged to be your new BFF. So and it's probably good that you don't know that much about me, right? That way it's like the mysterious relationship unfolds on the air.
Right. By the way, I insist that you send me those little laughing face pillows behind you.
Oh, right. I love those. I got them as a gag gift at a one of those things during a Christmas last year, and I was like, oh no, I am not giving these up.
That is so awesome. I just saw you move your head and I saw one. Yeah. I love that. I want one of those. I'm going to have to Amazon that stuff. So Vicki, I told you I created this show back in April-ish. I need to look that up and see when my first episode was. But
right?
I think it was March or April. But I've had some unbelievable, some celebrities and entrepreneurs and just great people on the show share their story, because I know that we gain a lot of power and strength in life by hearing how other people have overcome the crap that life throws at us, right? And
yes.
You are good at telling your story. I've heard bits and pieces of it. So let's start with tell everybody where you were born and raised.
Well, like my dad was in the military, so I was actually born in Abington, Pennsylvania. I don't even exactly know where that is, but Abington, Pennsylvania. We actually moved to Abington, Massachusetts after that, of all strange things. And then we moved out here to Northern California and then to Texas. So I really consider myself a California girl, though, because I started here in third grade and I've been here ever since. And have really planted my roots here, and I love California. Love the weather, even when we have these crazy rainstorms. I still love California. So that's kind of born and raised. I came here with a Texas drawl because I tend to, and you'll find out if you read the 12 books, 12 month series, that I tend to assimilate things, and I think that's from moving around so much. Is recognizing at a young age that people call you names, right? When I moved to Texas, I was in kindergarten or maybe in preschool, like right before kindergarten, and I had this dramatic, intense thing with the next door neighbor. I go over and I'm like, hi, you guys. And this little girl, what is she, 5, 6 years old, puts her hands on her hips and goes, it's not guys, it's y'all. And I was like, oh man, like all of a sudden, you have these epiphanies as a child or as an adult, and it's like, boom. All right. And now when I'm around, and Texans, I tend to start yelling it up.
Nasty. Kids can be nasty.
Right? They can be terrible. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. So don't you feel a little bit closer to me now?
I do. You're awesome. So Greg Grayson says, Ken, you're so lucky to have Vicki. She rocks. I've been following her for about 4 years.
I love you, Greg. Thanks for being here.
He's awesome. He is awesome.
Spectacular man.
So you ended up though back in California. So you went from, let me get this right. What was the town you were born in?
Abington,
Pennsylvania. I live right next door to Pennsylvania, and I don't know where that is. So Abington, Pennsylvania, and then you moved to Abington, Massachusetts.
Abington, Massachusetts. From what I understand, I don't know where that is either. It's same name. I think one has two B's and one has one. I know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Oh
Now,
my God.
let me just say, my dad could tend to be a jokester. It is possible. I've believed that my entire life, and it isn't true, but I do believe that one is true because they were from Boston. But it is possible. My dad pulled some over on me as a child. He's passed away now, so I can't grill him on it. But
Oh my gosh. So you went to California, then to Texas, then back to California.
yeah, Northern California on Alameda for any of those Navy brats out there. We lived on the Navy housing out there. Then we moved to Navy housing in Texas in Grand Prairie, and then from there my dad graduated. My dad retired from the military after 22 years as a chief, and we settled out here in California. Well, my family and I moved out first before my dad did.
Wow. And Northern California.
We moved to Southern Cal. We were in Northern Cal in Alameda. Then we moved to Texas, and then we moved here to Southern California. I grew up in Garden Grove.
Okay. And so and all of this before you were what?
Before third grade. So, I mean, I moved here in third grade. Mm-hmm.
Your final move.
I'm only 22, though. Let's just make sure we're all clear about that.
Right.
So.
Right. I know. I'm only 26. I get it.
Right? Okay. See, we're all good with that.
I know. No, I turned 50 last July, and I'm like, how did that happen?
Right? I mean, my son is 22, like if we're being honest here, and it's kind of like I look and go, I'm only 22. I really don't know where you came from or how this happened.
That's insane, isn't it? So my oldest just turned 13, so I started later in life. But so you ended up in Southern California, and what part of Southern Cal?
Garden Grove. It's in Orange County. So if you guys know, Orange County.
I've been over. When I lived in Vegas, we drove over before we came back to Ohio. We drove over we went to Big Bear Lake for my birthday. And then we drove on over to L.A. because I had never been to L.A. And so we drove and we went down to that Santa Monica Pier, and that was it. And we went back to Vegas. We had dinner there and drove back to Vegas. So that's been
a light
experience.
Schedule for California. That's a light schedule when you got Disneyland and you got Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain and the beach and hitting Santa Monica Pier is great, but you miss Chino for sure because
Yeah, well, my wife's been all over California. I haven't, however. So, Kevin Naylor says Big Bear Lake. Yeah, that was incredible. But so, okay, enough about me and my travels, for the love of God. What the heck? That's not what this is not the Travel Channel. So, so you ended up there. You were, and by the way, the one book I was talking about, the one that catches my attention the most, is the bully thing in your head, right?
Evict the Bully in your head. Yeah.
Evict the Bully in your head. Do you have a copy of that with you?
I don't. It's so funny. I know, right? I have Direct Selling 101, though, which is the first one. Okay, Evict the Bully in Your Head is not on Amazon yet. It will be this week. We had, when you're doing 12 books in 12 months, it's a little hard for my publisher to keep up.
That's insane.
And
that's insane.
Right? We've thrown them for like a serious loop, and then we had to do some changes. And so this actually, I had to switch the ISBN numbers so I could self-publish this one because they can't keep up. And so we're working through some minor issues, but people that are purchasing it immediately get an instant copy. And like I said, we're working through some technical difficulties, but it's a phenomenal book, I have to say. It's so near and dear to my heart, and
I want you to dive into that, but I want to say this first. 12 books in 12 months is what you're writing. Wow! But we're going to get into that. First, let's talk about the school and all of that. You graduated high school in Southern California.
Yes, I actually graduated early, so if we're just trying to be, if you just want to,
Wow, that's incredible. So,
I was eager to move forward in life.
That's incredible. Did you go to college?
I started in college. This is like a fun story too, because for somebody who's built and sold 4 companies, top 10 worldwide in my industry, and as an international, author, speaker, business consultant, I wanted to be an actress. That's the truth. I know this will probably be a huge shock for everyone, right? But I wanted to be an actress. And my dad, as much as I absolutely adore him, my dad said, I registered in college, and my dad said to me, I'm not paying for your singing and dancing and acting lessons. And it kind of broke my heart, because now, see, I graduated early. I bought my first house. I started my first business when I was 12, but then I bought my first house when I was 19 here in California, which is a pretty cool thing.
Wow.
But you definitely have some pressure. So I had a job, and then I wanted to go to college too, but to pay my house payment, take care of my bills, work full time, and go to school, I felt like I just couldn't do it on my own. And when my dad said no, that he wasn't going to pay for it, I went for a little bit longer. And then I thought, you know what, I'm just, I have a passion for entrepreneurship, and I'm just going to do that and continue working. And I worked my way up in my company extremely quickly, and then quit and started my own first business, like with employees, when I was 20. So, I've had this wild, fun, crazy, difficult ride and that's what this whole 12 books, 12 months series is about, is like helping people to, recognize the value internally and to hold on to their dreams and not let go just because other people are the naysayers and the bully in your head that says you're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not pretty enough, not old enough, not whatever enough. And anyway, so that was my little passion right there.
We are like, we're like twins. What's that called? Paternal or something? Or what's the word?
Paternal means we're not identical. So, right. Fraternal.
I didn't even graduate high school, so I'm not as smart as you are. But in my book, I wrote about, I wake up every single morning to the judge, jury, and executioner.
Right?
Right? I wrote about that in my book, and it's like, you wake up and it's like, stay in bed, loser. Nobody wants to hear about you. Like all of that stuff. And I love the title of that book. I just love it. So when it hits Amazon, you have to let me know, because I'll bring you back on and we'll blow that thing out. Like, seriously.
It should be Friday. Friday. Wait, tomorrow's Friday. Probably Monday then, because it could happen tomorrow. All we have to do is add the new ISBN numbers to the folder and upload it. But then I don't know. I think they take 2 days, right? Anyway.
Yeah,
So Monday. Everybody pray for me. Monday we have to do is just tweak 2 little things and boom, it's ready.
So that's awesome. I love the title. I'm sure if the book is as good as the title is, it's going to be an amazing book. So I'm looking forward to reading it. But let's back up. You started in college and you said, this isn't for me.
Well, no, that's not true. But honestly, I said my dad wouldn't pay for it. And I felt like I was stretching myself with, like I said, owning my own home and working full time and stuff. And I felt like I was stretching myself because I was actually taking marketing too. I was doing marketing, and, I had all this. Yeah, I know. I'm crazy, but I'm so passionate and I have so much energy that I dive into things with this intensity, but it's only if it's fun. Like, if I'm not having fun, I always say, if you're not having fun, you are doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that there's not work, right? But if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So I think I lasted a semester, maybe started my second semester. I honestly don't recall, but I just thought the time and energy it's taking is and the financial resources. Like I said, when you're 19 and you buy a house, that's a responsibility. Huge. And then making sure that you're right. So anyway, so that's why I withdrew from college, because financially, honestly, I guess we could call that an excuse. I don't feel like it was an excuse, but I also feel like I was being pulled to this entrepreneurship and believe that at some point, if I wanted to, oh yeah, I see Greg's comment ask about the Tony Robbins interview.
That's on the agenda.
So anyway, so that's why. Like I said, I don't want people to think that I couldn't have made it work, but I work really hard already. And I weigh things out and said, I'm not sure how much farther that's going to get me. And I had already, like I said, I started my first business at 12. So I already felt like I had this thing down. Like I could do this. And if I want to make enough money to stop and then go be an actress later, then I could do that. And, anyway, so there's
you look like you should be an actress. You act like you should be an actress.
And you TV producers out there, I am ready to host my own show. I promise I'm quick on my feet and I could totally rock it.
I love it. I love it. I have a connection that might be able to help you with that. But so that's right. But so you decided to leave because college is not cheap. And neither is owning a house in Southern California and all the other stuff. And that was only a couple years ago.
Exactly. That's why you're wondering where I got all this experience.
Right. But what happened next? Because you wrote a book about direct selling, and for those who don't know what direct selling is, why don't you tell them? I mean, I know what it is. I could tell them, but I want you to tell them.
Well, direct selling, I mean, a lot of people actually have different interpretations, which is part of the reason for the book. But direct selling, the industry, right, is a direct to consumer sales. When we actually connect with people personally, and we talk about multi-level marketing, network marketing, hybrid marketing, which is what's kind of going on now, and kind of demystifying it. But the book, even though the first one is called Direct Selling 101, there's actually 6 in the series. Most people don't. Yeah, I know. 6. There's Direct Selling 101, 201, 301, 401, 501, and a bonus one called 601 that nobody really knows about yet. But it is. I already have 13 books instead of just 12.
What?
I know. But direct. I know. Well, when I started in the direct sales industry, it was a side hustle just actually to get my product to cost. True story. Like I had no intention. I already had multiple companies running, and I had no intention of when the girl asked me about it, I was like, no, like I am too busy. It's not happening. I just had my baby and I was running multiple companies. It was like, no, thank you so much, but no. And she did a really smart thing, which I talk about in the book, and I promise I'm going to wrap around to
hold it. You said, thank you so much, but no.
Yeah, I did. I said, oh, thank you so much, but no. Like,
right.
No. I'm very clear on boundaries, and I know when mine are at their limit. But she did something really smart, which was the next time, and again, this is in the book, so hopefully you guys will check it out, because it's honestly about becoming the best version of yourself. The whole series is. Wow. So even though it's about direct sales, which is selling to people, it's not. It's about you recognizing why you're afraid of things and how to think about them differently and how to really get what you want in life. And so she said to me, my mantra with her was buy me 2 of everything new. Okay. Cause this was my hobby and I didn't have a lot of time. So when I was working on my stuff, I did not want to have any delays or any reason to stop. And so I was like the ultimate customer. And when she called me back, she goes, I just wanted to tell you one thing really quick. I wanted to tell you how much money you would have saved if you were actually, a consultant. And when she told me, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of money.
Wow.
And then I said well, let me talk to my husband, which I totally didn't need to. I just had to process for a minute, and when I asked him, he's like, you're an entrepreneur. Why haven't you done it already? And that was my accidental start in the direct sales industry. And then I rose to be top 10 in sales and recruiting internationally for more than a decade.
In the same company?
Yeah, I know.
In one company?
Yep.
Oh my
top 10.
Gosh.
Worldwide. Imagine that being your first recruit. Like, holy Toledo.
Right. After the show, I have something I want to talk to you about. Okay. Wow, Vicki, that's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Wow. Did you say
when you're passionate?
So along the way, you got married?
I did. I actually so here again, you guys, my journey has not been easy. I actually got I don't know how much you want to know, Ken, but I'm just going to lay it out there, brother, because this is inspirational for people. I bought my house when I was 19, right? Then, and right at that time, I met somebody I was dating. I ended up marrying him. He was an alcoholic drug addict, which is really super relationship, right? People, if you're recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction, I have no bones about you. I mean, again, my father was an alcoholic. My brother and sister are alcoholic drug addicts. It's been a challenging, but it's like, I guess we knew. Yeah, Vicki does go all in. Patricia, I see your comment there. And so he ended up leaving me when I was 21, right? I had started my company. He drained my bank account, charged up all my credit cards. He came home one day, he said, I don't love you anymore. I'm sure I ever did. I had an affair and I want a divorce. And I was like, what do you do with that? You're 21 years old. Can I
borrow $5 of the money you stole from me? Like, what the heck?
Exactly. And it was like, I remember sitting there for a while asking why, all the dumb questions, why? And then he told me, like, alcoholics, drug addicts, they say the most interesting things, right? And like ripping my self-esteem apart.
I have 16 and a half years sober.
I don't, but hey, you know what? More power to you. Like I said, I have no bones about people going through that, right? Yeah. I think it's amazing. But I also want the people that are the codependents of those people to recognize that it's not your fault, right? And that's right. And here I was, like, I've been giving this man everything I had, and all of a sudden it was like my life totally caved in. So anyway, that relationship, several years later, I actually met my husband in Al-Anon, so I can really thank. I did. So I can thank my ex-husband for, the conduit, even though, like I said, we were just friends for years before we started dating. And so, that's why one of the books is called Profit in the Pain, is that we have to recognize that the crap that comes to us, the things that, my dad saying no to paying for college, to my ex-husband, to, making me nearly destitute and having to kick in the grit in my life and just get it together.
Did you just say that your book is subtitled Profit in the Pain?
No, that is number 12 in the series.
My book is called Walls of Wisdom, Turning Pain into Profit.
See, I didn't know that. Look at it. We are the same.
How crazy is that? Wow. That is insane. My mind's a little bit blown right now. Holy moly, right? So you've an Al-Anon where wine is a verb. I'm kidding. I've been to Al-Anon.
I hear you.
I'm a codependent myself. So I don't think you ever get over that completely. That's tough. But so you met. Wow. So keep going. Just roll with it. I'm blown away right now. Holy crap.
Oh, well, I hope it's a good blown away, because that's my
unbelievable.
I want to encourage all of you people to just become the best version of yourself and recognize crap's going to happen, and it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel like you can't make it through, but you can. I mean, like I said, this is only a tiny little piece. People always say, like on my live stream stuff, oh my gosh, it's just you. Your life is so easy. And it was like, yeah, not so much. No, not so much. It just wasn't.
Not really. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And I have a child with special needs. My son has Asperger's. And so, he's had my youngest one. And so he's had some real challenges and struggles and most people, and that's one of the reasons, and I totally want to share this, is that Evict the Bully in Your Head, I share because people think they're not enough, whether they're, with him with Asperger's, book number, I think it's 6, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly which order they go in, but it's called Own It, How to Step Up and Stand Out. And I wrote that because of him, and I tied it into entrepreneurs because they are constantly, trying to fit in instead of just being who they are. They're trying to grab these trying to go fit into audiences instead of just attracting the people that care about them. And when, I always said to my son, cause, and Elijah, if you're watching this, you know I love you, honey, and it's really important that we help other people to work through it too, is that he always said, people call me a weirdo, or they say I'm weird. And I said, you're not weird, baby. You're quirky, and quirky is cool. So my hashtag is quirky is cool. So the subtitle of that book is quirky is cool and normal is so yesterday. Because we as entrepreneurs and people, right, we have to embrace who we are. And my son is the most lovely person. He is such a sweetheart. He loves people with a passion. He's just quirky.
Wow.
And I love his quirkiness because he also is incredibly intelligent, and he uses his different style of thinking to come up with the greatest solutions for things. I mean, I'm amazed at him. And so I had to write a book that was about like I said, none of the books are about what they're about. They're all about you, and they're all about trials and how to deal with them. But anyway, I'm yammering, but yeah, quirky is Evan, the hashtag.
Hashtag quirky is cool. I love that. I've always felt a bit quirky myself. So like, right? Like,
and so now you can own it. Go, quirky is cool.
That's right. My 8-year-old daughter's always doing that. She'll go hashtag whatever, and I'm like, attitude. Hashtag attitude.
Well, that's coming. You know that, right?
My 13-year-old's giving me that. But so wow, holy moly. I don't even know what question to ask now. I'm never left speechless, by the way, ever.
I'm going to put that on my resume. Ken Roll, speechless.
Left him. So my gosh, you've done a lot of stuff. And so you wrote this direct selling series. Yeah. Series. There's not just series. One book. There's 6.
This is one. There's 6.
6 books.
Secret.
How many books have you written?
I'm technically on number 9, but I've written parts of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 16. Truthfully. I know it's not stopping, but I'm not going to continue on with one a month, but I am the secret book, Direct Selling 601, right, is because, and I'm just going to tell your audience this, right, because my 12 books of 12 months series started on 12/12 at 12/12. I could not have a book on 12/12 at 12/12 again, because that would just be tacky and terrible. So
yeah, that's bad karma.
Right? So I had to do an extra one. And since I deemed my own national hashtags of 12/12 as direct selling day, then I had to do another direct sales book. So it's 601 comes out that day. But book 14 is called 12 Books, 12 Months, The Journey, where I tell you about how ups and downs this went, and so anyway, but I have some other, from my live streams and stuff, books that I'm working on. So
Vicki, you're absolutely amazing. Holy crap. Did you say you met another husband in Al-Anon, or that was the first husband?
No, I didn't mean my alcoholic husband in Al-Anon. I met him on a blind date, and that's a whole story you guys will have to catch in one of the books. But I told my friend who wanted to go out with my roommate, don't set me up with any of your blonde-haired, blue-eyed surfer friends that smoke. He set me up with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed surfer that smoked. Oh, seriously, I was like, really? I mean, anyway, but that's a whole story, and persistence won out because I wasn't even attracted to him or interested in him, and somehow he got me to marry him. So, you have to read the books to get that story. But I met my current husband, who I've been married to for 24 years in Al-Anon.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
22. I'm only 22 though.
Right. Which lifetime are we talking about here?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So okay, my gosh. Okay, so, I don't even know. Okay, let me back up. Wow. Like my brain is going in all the directions of the books and the Al-Anon and okay, so you don't smoke. We've established that.
I don't drink, don't smoke, and I don't swear.
Safe to assume. So along the way, I know that you've met a lot of people. You can't be one of the top recruiters in the world with a direct selling company and not have met a lot of people. So along the way, you meet people that are stuck.
Yeah.
And you and I can sit here and have this conversation. I had a conversation recently with somebody that said, yeah, I get all this motivation. I've read all the books. I've been to the Tony Robbins seminars. I've done the da-da-da-da-da-da. But it's something inside of me that says I can't get past the $150,000 mark up here. And I know until I believe that I can make $10 million a year, I never will. And how do you get past that? And I think that for somebody like you, I think you have a really good response for that. I want to hear it.
Well, yeah. Well, mindset, I call the book, I call it the M3 philosophy of money, mindset, and motivation. So my whole goal is to help people get through those blocks. As a business consultant, I have clients in 7 countries. And the reason I actually started writing the books is because through this, the live streaming and stuff, I saw this thread running through where everybody was struggling. They're miserable. And we're talking about, the careers that everybody's parents want you to do, doctors, lawyers, dentists, actors. They're struggling because they don't like what they do, or they don't like what they're doing, or how they're doing it, or the control that other people have put on them. And so I started, just working through that money, mindset, and motivation of recognizing why. Like, why don't you think you can make that money? Why do you think you're not worth it? And I'm not a life coach, but all my clients say I am. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, you are. You are, because I believe you, right? I know. But you have to dig behind, and I'm not talking about dealing with every single issue you've ever dealt with in your life. But if you believe that you're not good enough, even if I tell you, oh my gosh, that is so valuable, people would pay $1,000 an hour for you to deliver that. If you don't believe it, there's no way that I can get that money for you unless I sell it for you.
Right.
You're not going to come on a live stream and go, I'm $1,000 an hour when you feel like you're a $60 an hour person, Right. So I help them bump themselves up slowly but surely, because, recognizing, and I have, I don't mention who my clients are. I always let them share that out, but many of them are very vocal about, having worked with me. And one of them actually, started saying, he goes like, oh my gosh, Vicki, working with you is like a drug. Like I believe in myself. I can do it. I know that I can do it. And I said, that drug is called hope. It's hope.
Yes.
Because we're afraid that we can't do it. And then that hope transitions into belief, which are characters in Evict the Bully in your head. Hope is one of the headspace heroes, and so is belief. And the bullies of like I call them the big 3 of doubt, shame, and fear. Yeah. Those 3 try and take over, but when we bring in Captain Confidence and Corporal Courage, and we start recognize our internal value, we start transitioning and changing the way people think about themselves. It's not me telling you you're different. It's you slowly but surely with a nudge. And you guys know I call it a Fitch slap, right? A Fitch slap, so we're clear, is a public service. It only comes out when necessary. It's always done in love, and it's used to redirect the course of someone who's gone astray. And so, if you say I'm not good enough, you get a Fitch slap because you are good enough. And we have to remember that, right? So,
oh my God, I love it. That is awesome. So
anyway, that's how I do it, is I redirect them. I help them and I also, not necessarily in popular belief, but remind them they don't have to say, just because you went to college to become a doctor doesn't mean you have to stay a doctor. If you don't love it, I call it an exit strategy. We don't just quit and run away. We start the side hustle. We start the thing that we love, and we start, expanding that, and then reducing this so we can transition without, heart attack and family members struggling and that kind of thing.
Right. Wow. So this Grant Cardone bracelet I have says, don't be a little, we could change that to Fitch.
Yeah, there you go. Except you do want to be a Fitch, right? But I say quit your fitching. One of the chapters in the book is quit your fitching, because stop your complaining. Stop complaining. It doesn't serve anyone. And see, my kids, they're required to read a chapter of the book, and then we have a conversation about it. Like, and so if they come in and complain, I'm like, quit your fitching. Now, what are we doing? We have to come up with 3, like we use what's called HCI. How can I accomplish that? And you need to come up with 3 solutions. If you dump a problem, you have to come up with 3 possible solutions, and they can be from the obvious to the outlandish. I don't care, but you will come up with 3 because you will open the brain. You will open those windows. And, it's amazing what happens to children when you give them the freedom for the outlandish, like when Elijah and Zach are fighting and he says, I could send Zach to the moon on a rocket ship, or I could talk to my brother. It's like, okay. So, but requiring that, because I say, I don't understand wine. It's like, blah, 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 blah. I don't get it. So HCI, how can I? And 3 possible solutions. You're not going to complain, So anyway.
Wow, Vicki, you are unbelievable. Wow. So okay. I want to ask you before we go too much further.
Okay.
My gosh, I can't believe we've already been on here 36 minutes. What?
I know, right?
So you put together somehow, some sort of way. You put together. I remember back in the Blab days.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was on Blab with Grant Cardone and some other big names for several times. And but you put together something with he's the king of it all. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, that was super fun. Now I can't take all the credit for that. Anthony Conklin was very courageous, and I hesitate.
I love Anthony. He's amazing.
Right.
He's amazing.
He is a lovely person, and
Yes.
Anthony loved Tony Robbins. I'm gonna be totally honest about. I had never seen Tony Robbins. I knew who he was. And Tony, don't get mad, okay, if you're watching this. Not that you would, but I know some of your peeps are watching. But I was like, oh my gosh, he's so, like, he seemed so cocky and stuff in the things that I had seen, TV. I know, it's true. So I was there as a support for Anthony, who this was his lifelong dream, right? And
Yeah.
I'm the one that helped him, guide him and get, anyway. So I did a support role there in creating conversation and making sure things were flowing. I literally, during that interview, I was surveying 5 devices. I had his house staff on one. I had all these things that I'm monitoring, plus I'm monitoring the chat and figuring out who we're going to bring in and what's going on. I mean, if you watch that interview, you'll see me going like this. Like, I look like a robot because I am literally monitoring his own staff. I mean, everything, and trying to make sure that it goes off flawlessly, right? And but he was so kind that like I said, we had to do some extraordinary things to get that through. But he invited Anthony and I to go to his UPW event, and we were in the front row, and we got Anthony up on stage a couple times with Tony, and I got some video of that and stuff.
Wow.
But through that, I recognized, even though I had never listened to anything he said, I'd never heard him, just little sound bites or whatever, because I was a huge Jim Rohn fan, and I knew that he was, he had worked for Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
But I recognized a lot of the same things that I say, he was saying. Like, I'm sure we all got him from the greats. We got him from Jim, and we got him from, Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy and, different people. But I fell in love with him. Now, I do not agree with everything. Tony, I love you, man, but I do not agree with everything that that he believes. I don't. But I did believe that his intention was to help people, and we were very much in alignment there. As a matter of fact, I went to Fiji for an event, and his stage manager, Rocky Jacobson, who I just did an event with this weekend, with Jack Canfield and Michael E. Gerber, who I just love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I just want to hug him, right? Well, I did hug him a lot. I have a lot of pictures I was hugging, and his wife. They're just adorable people.
Oh, yeah.
But Rocky actually wrote the foreword for Evict the Bully in Your Head, Tony Robbins' stage manager.
Wow.
And it's just like, these create connections. So I wrote an article. Hey, Greg, nice to see you, sweetheart.
Hey,
I wrote
Greg.
an article that I haven't posted yet. It's called Tony Robbins Hope or Hype, that I started right before I went to the UPW originally to see. And then I added to it at each event I've been to of his, and, how I feel about Tony and stuff like that. So it's a really, incredible thing. And Tony was very humble and kind, and just like, he's just a nice man.
I gotta be real. Like, first off, one of his number one, I think he's number one for Tony in the world salespeople, is a guy named Dragon Trajakovsky. Do you know Dragon?
I do not.
He's either number one or in the top, couple. They bounce back and forth, I think. But Dragon's a buddy of mine, and I told Dragon, like, dude, because he's, always at the UPW events, hanging out with Tony, and I said, dude, like 25-ish years ago, I read Awaken the Giant Within. And I had a very tumultuous childhood. So, I couldn't find my rear end with both hands and a flashlight. I was lost for years. And so when I read Awaken the Giant Within, it blew me away. It blew me away. And I remember back then going, I'm going to know that man at some point in my life. I'm going to be able to say I'm friends with Tony Robbins. Now, I'm not yet, but it's coming. And I'd love to someday interview him. But, like, that's incredible. And Jack Canfield, like, we do website development, and we just did a big website for Dr. Cherie Carter-Scott, who is, like, she's been on Oprah several times. She's worked with Jack in a bunch of different things, and she's the mother of coaching. She's incredible. And so I'm like, wow, you're connected to Jack Canfield. I love Jack Canfield. Like, literally right there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's Jack's book, The Success Principles. Like, I love Jack Canfield. So what you're doing is incredible, Vicki.
Oh, thank you. I'm super excited. And Michael Gerber actually has, for any of you guys, I want to help him spread the message. He is trying to distribute 1 million e-myths into schools, nationwide, I think was his first goal. And because I speak in the schools on the Evict the Bully in Your Head and the You Are Enough campaign, we are going to collaborate and work on, getting those books out. And if you guys have not read the E-Myth Revisited, you've got to read it. Honestly, he's so stellar. Yeah,
big time. I have it right over there. I love that book. I'm telling you, like, wow. How in the world, because, like, I made a decision after 20-some years of putting it off to write a book, and I released it in October of 2017. And it hit the bestseller list and all that, but whoop, whoop. I know, right? Which is pretty cool, but like, I just remember this one day I was like, I have to write a book now. Mm-hmm. And so I literally, it's only 74 pages. It's not a huge book. But I wrote this thing in 7 days. Like, I was done. And so, like, what about you? Like, you're writing like, holy crap, like, you're only 22 and you've written so many books.
Oh my gosh.
How do you do it? Is your house a mess? Do you not do laundry? Do you not clean? Do you not eat?
This is a good question, and I'll share. I don't know how much time you have, but I'd love to share.
It's the internet. We can go all day if we want.
That's right. Hey, people, either stick around or just be amazed. But this is good stuff, right?
Right.
Good stuff. Okay, so the reason, because people ask me all this all the time, and it is inside the first book. I think it's inside all of them, because this is a major question. Like,
yeah, how do you have the time?
Well, and what are you doing? Like, what? Why are you writing 12 books? Like, what's up with you? You have to. Right. So I tell people. Greg says I don't sleep. I do sleep. I swear. Although I don't sleep maybe as much as some people do, because I do get up at 4:45 and
oh
then
my gosh.
I know. I have a lot of energy. True story. And no, people, I don't do drugs. I never have. I'm not saying we never had weird exploration as children, but I do not do drugs. I do not drink. I don't smoke, right? But like I said, I'm not lying. And Stacy is right. The Rockstar Guide to Getting It Done. I have built and sold 4 companies. I've run multiple companies, a child that has some special needs. He's extraordinary, so don't get me wrong. It's not like he is a burden at all, but the communication, we take a lot of time to make sure he can understand and navigate the world.
It requires more effort, more energy.
Yes,
it just does.
It does.
Yeah.
It's energy, and that's the thing is most people don't put their energy where it belongs. But people kept asking me, and when I was recognizing all these things, I'd be on the thing and I go, I'm going to write a book on that. Yeah, girlfriend, you got to evict the bully that's residing in your head. And, and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to write a book on that, Evict the Bully in your head. And then, this and that. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember what day it was, but all these people started asking and saying, where can I get that book? Where can I get that book? I was like, well, I haven't actually written them yet. I will put the links in, Kevin, if he'll let me. I could literally transcribe the 2,000 or 3,000 live streams I've done or the talks I've done, and somebody could put them in a book. But I go, you know what? I got to do this. And if I do traditionally like a year or 6 months, it's still going to be 6 or 12 or 20 years before the content gets out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do something really weird. Like, I'm really good with my time. I wrote a course called The Rockstar Guide to Getting It Done because people always say, how do you run multiple businesses? How do you do all this? And
is it a course or a book?
It's a course. It's a course. And there's pieces of it integrated into the books, but it's a course and it's a video course to make it simple. I know. It's so cool, though. I'm going to tell you right now, even my son, who is 22, yes, he is 22, he goes, Mom, this is awesome. Dad needs to do this because my husband's very creative and free-spirited and will make 28 trips to the store where all it is teaching you to layer and group task, not multitask, but group task.
So if I asked you for a yellowish orange manila envelope, you would know exactly where to go find it, right?
Well, you can see them right there, but yes, I do. I am very organized.
Oh my gosh.
My family is not, and so that makes things a little bit challenging, but everything has a place. Like, the things that are right next to my desk, I actually have a custom built office that is where I have drop down shelves for the things I use most. I'm like a proficiency expert. Like, literally, I go into companies and tell them where they're losing time and energy from people and that kind of stuff. It's just the way my brain works.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And everybody here is like, okay, I'm exhausted now. I can't even take this woman.
Wow. No, I love this. I'm excited to start. Like, I didn't know you had courses and I do business consulting and coaching too. And it's funny how you said I'm not a life coach because I'm like the same thing. Or like but I always like you end up there. It's like
you got to help them figure out, right?
Yes.
I mean, if people are stuck, like if we can't help them figure out why they're stuck, that they hate their job or that they are not having fun and they're trying to conform to other people, then, we don't. Oh yeah. Stacy's saying, ask her about the time I spent 3.5 years in a wheelchair. This is true too.
What?
I know. Which part do you want me to finish? Because we have so many lines going.
Oh my God. See, that's why this is the most exhilarating interview I've done, but I'm like
exhausted,
going in a million directions. My mind it's going crazy. So tell me quickly about the wheelchair. What?
All right, let me finish that previous slide and I'll wrap that in. So the 12 books, 12 months. So I started writing from 8 to 10. I write very quickly, about 1,000 words every half hour. So, so about 2,000 words an hour. And so I was writing from 8 to 10 every morning. And then I realized that I thought my books were only going to be like 30,000 words, maybe 40 or 50, but they're 80 and 90,000 words. So I had to double up on that time because you have to find time to actually edit or review, and then when they get too fat, I have to take content out and push it into another book there's meat, people. I'm telling you, there's not fluff. There are analogies and examples and super fun ways of helping you to remember things, and a 15-page Fitchism dictionary in the back because I have my own language that makes things fun for people, like the bubble bump, like the Fitch slap, like Bobo, who's the one that helps you through your intimacy bubbles. I have characters, people. Anyway, super fun. So that's how I write the books. Right now, I typically can pulled me away to do this interview because usually from 8 to 12, I am in my office with a sign on the door that says, do not come in unless there's blood or smoke. So.
and everybody knows you don't smoke. So
right.
Yeah, go in if there's smoke for sure.
There's going to be a fire and then I told my son yesterday, hangnails do not count as blood. Just so we're clear that we're going to get, make sure. But so I am very focused. I'm just very focused person, so I can get a lot done in short periods of time. Wow. So, that's how I'm writing the books. And like I said, the passion I have for it, and any of you guys listening, first of all, I'd love for you guys to have that. Greg says he's seen the Fitch Lab, but I'd love for you guys to purchase them, not because I want to sell books, because I want to change your life. And that is the truth. I know without a shadow of a doubt, these books will change your life, and one of them is called You're Broke, Not Broken, which is a reminder that your value has nothing to do with your bank account. There's so many people that are financially struggling, and your value has nothing to do with your bank account. And just hold on to that, because I have a feeling that someone here is struggling with that, and that's why I wanted to mention that part.
Wow.
So the 3.5 years in a wheelchair, and this is also the humiliation part, right? You guys are going to love this, because people love to see, where people have fallen. And this is literally a fall. I was in front of 7,000 people. And I'll say luckily in this time I was number 2, in the category instead of not number 1. Because everybody else had gone down. They had this huge cruise ship style staircase that they had made for getting these awards. And I start walking down, and the stairs were made really weird. They had these tiny little steps with this huge fat molding. I mean, it was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. And so, but anyway, I'm walking down the stair, and then the molding, I feel the molding slipping out. Like it slipped out, and I came down. Seriously, you could have heard a pin drop, right? The vice president walks over like ghost white, picks up the molding, kind of smiles at me and chucks it to the side and helps me up. God. Yeah, I know, right?
This is at one of the company,
the event, yes. And right? And so he helps me up, and I pop up in typical Vicki Fitch style, because this is me, and I go, like just waving at everybody, because they're like, they don't know what to do. Like, is she going to run off the stage? Is she going to, are we calling the ambulance? What's happening, right?
Oh my.
And then, right? Okay, now this is where it gets funny. Well, I guess it wouldn't really probably as funny then, but it was funny to me. Anyway, so at the top of the stairs, because I was number 2, number 1 is my girlfriend, Lise. And all of a sudden, again, the room is still dead silent. She goes, oh my gosh, her pants are ripped. My butt is hanging out. I'm bleeding. True story, right?
Oh
I am bleeding in front of 7,000 people.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. And my girlfriend, so she runs down, jumps over the stair that is now not a stair, right? She has this little shirt, a little overshirt with half sleeves. So it wouldn't actually tie around me, but she wraps it around me, even though I'm bleeding. So I'm sure her white shirt was destroyed, right? I have to hold the shirt around my waist so my butt is not hanging out for the world to see with my left hand. I accept my award with my right hand. And I'm just sitting there trying to smile. And oh my gosh, it was hilarious. Like, I mean, most people will think you were humiliated. I really wasn't. I don't know why, because it certainly is a humiliating thing.
Oh my.
Especially when your butt is hanging out.
Oh my God.
But again, that's where we find profit in the pain, right? It's
that's right.
Okay, it's life. It happens. And people are coming up to me afterwards. Oh my gosh, I would have run off the stage, gone home, and never showed up again. And you just sat there smiling and waving, making us all feel better. It was extraordinary.
Wow.
What I didn't realize is that, as a type A personality that kept on going and it hurt, I thought it was just going to get better. Well, it ended up I had torn the ligaments in my hip and they grew back wrong. And so my spine twisted, and I ended up with 7 bulging discs in my spine and 3 in my neck.
Oh my.
And one day I know. One day, my hip froze. I was at church, and one day my hip froze. I literally was stuck like a statue, and I sat there with just tears running down my face. Like, I'm not saying anything because people are just walking by, and I'm 6 foot tall. So unless you're up here, you're not seeing the tear because, we just kind of are where we are. And a neighbor of mine saw me, and he saw the tears running down my face, and he came and helped me. And then that went through this whole thing of finding out what had happened and what transpired. And I was in a wheelchair for 3.5 years. And I got to tell you, that's a whole other story. But yeah, I started feeling very discouraged at a point there. I did stay in top in my company because the consistency I had developed and was able, that's when I started learning online marketing because I was in bed and I learned how to do webinars and people didn't have to know that I couldn't walk and, that kind of thing. So, that's where we, that grit, which is a character in one of the books as well, where grit just, grit for me, the character, it stands for get ready, it's time. And so I have to dig in, right, and recognize our value and say, I've got more in me. I cannot let this define me. I can't stay here. I have to keep moving forward. And anyway, so there's so much more to tell, but like I said, I don't.
So I'm, oh my gosh, wow. I'm completely numb. You are freaking amazing. And if anybody watching this has not shared this out, shame on you. You need a Fitch slap.
That's right. Let's redirect your course right now. Boom.
Right. Like, this is absolutely unbelievable. So okay, so I think it's a travesty in life that 99% of the world lives in such a fearful and almost non-existent place. Like they're born into this world, they go through school, they might go to college, they get a job, they, blue collar, white collar, doesn't matter, and they're at 50, 60, 80, 100, 200, whatever the number is, $1,000 a year, and that they got the benefits package and they've got everything, and they go through, just this mundane lifestyle. And I'm not judging. I think that every person on this planet was sent here to do fantastically great things.
Amen.
And most of us don't even attempt it because of all of the crap. So, I ask this question of every single guest, and oh my God, I can't wait to hear your answer. I can't wait to hear. I will tell you that the most common answer is fear. Mm-hmm. I've interviewed 150-ish people so far, and the most common answer is fear. What keeps people stuck? Why do people stay stuck? I'm involved in some direct selling stuff. I'm sure you know who Ray and Jessica Higdon are. They're friends of mine and clients of mine, and so I'm in the industry-ish kind of. I stay on the outskirts, but I'm not one of those to go all in. But I see so many people where I'll go, hey, you know what? I know some people making $1 million a year doing this, and they come up with every reason in the world not to do something, whether it's direct selling or it's quit that job that you hate so much and go do what you want to do that you love. What keeps people stuck there? What, in your opinion, why do they stay stuck?
Well, I'm going to concur that a lot of it is fear, and that's what I address in Evict the Bully in Your Head, but yeah. I call them the big three, and, fear, shame, and doubt. Those three bullies as a posse tend to demolish our self-esteem and our self-confidence. And I have done, I think, a lovely job of explaining who those characters are and why they are able to get in with something which I would love your audience to understand is what I call the intimacy bubbles. The intimacy bubbles are, why we get hurt and why we allow so much fear and the judgment of other people to attack us. Because fear in itself is not literally typically a fear of physical harm. In business, it's a fear of others judging and the ridicule and the shame and that discomfort. And then we doubt ourselves and we start to kind of, withdraw. But the intimacy bubbles are like a protector. And remember, I told you I have a character named Bobo. Bobo is a bubble. Bobo is the guardian of the bubbles. And your bubbles, I know, it's fun and it's funny. It's fun and it's funny because your intimacy bubbles, right? It's not how much you love people. It's how much you're willing to allow them into your vulnerability, right? Like, cause the closer people are, if somebody yelled from far across the street and said, "You're ugly," it's like, okay, bye-bye. Like, I don't even know you. Now, if it's what we call a hot spot and it's something you're sensitive about, it might hurt, but it's not going to totally devastate you because you don't even know them, right?
Right.
But if your spouse says you're ugly, then it's like, like, wow, right? This is super painful because we've allowed them so close to that vulnerability. So the bubbles go, personal one, and I happen to be a Christian. And so me and my Lord are in that bubble, and that's the only thing. The problem is when you allow the bullies in your head, they're in the bubble too. So you're allowing those bullies in your most intimate space, right?
Right.
And so it's just, it kills you because you can't get away from it. But the next bubble is your intimate bubble, which is your spouse and your partner. And it doesn't have to be physically intimate to have an intimate relationship with people. But the closer we let them in, we push them all, there's these bubbles and there's the outliers and the strangers. But what people get most value out of recognizing is that those little zones of your family, like we tend to let family, the close family bubble is close. Your family doesn't have to stay in the family bubble, just so you know. It doesn't change how you love them. You just bubble bump them right out and they get to go wherever they belong because they don't deserve access to your vulnerability. So
hold it, do that again. What'd you do there? I had its whole screen is on you. Bubble bump, a bubble bump. I love it.
And you bubble bump them. They get a little hip check and they go to a bubble that's more appropriate to the way they treat you, And so it's really important you guys understand this. That's why Evict the Bully in your head, it's got a lot of technical and stuff in it, blended into funny things like that. Do a bubble bump. Just, and it's a language that other people can gravitate to so they can say, "Girlfriend, he needs a bubble bump." We can just boom. And enough said. We don't need him. We know what that means. You are not getting in,
Yeah. A bubble. He needs a bubble bump. I love it. So if somebody were to call you up and say, "Vicki, unfortunately, I was a raging alcoholic for many, many years, and I have 16 and a half years of recovery and sobriety by the grace of God. But I many years prior to that, I was like, I was not in a good place. And so, I've been through, cars repossessed, electric getting shut off, all of the different things. So if somebody were to hit you up and say, "Vicki, tomorrow my electric's being turned off. My car was repossessed last week. I can't find my rear end with both hands on a flashlight. My life is falling apart. I've tried everything." And I love the way Tony Robbins talks about that. But I've done it. I just can't figure it out, and I'm broke. I can't feed the kids. It's a mess. What's the first thing you say to that person? Because and I know that it starts right there, right? Probably got to do some bubble bumping, but it starts right there. But what's the first thing that you're going to say to help that person get out of that mindset and into the right mindset?
Well, I'm going to tell them first of all, they need to be listening to positive things. And it depends on their actual circumstances. Assuming they still have a phone or they have access to something where they can listen to positive things, I'm going to recommend that they do that because we have to start. I love Dr. Tom Barrett, how he talks about the jelly in your donut, right? We got to squeeze the old jelly out. We got to fill it with some new jelly while we're working on these other things. So recognizing your own value is a critical piece. If you think you're worthless, your ability to get a job, your ability to move past that, your ability to come up with creative solutions is going to be severely stunted. But the first thing I would do is say, HCI, how can I? How
Love
can
it.
I? How can I feed the kids? Okay, there's got to be a food bank, right? And this may sound terrible to some and good to others. I don't really care. This is what I truly believe. If I had to beg for food, like if my kids were hungry and I needed to beg for food, I would beg for food, but I would try and offer some kind of value and say, I realize you don't know me and you don't want to know why I got no money, but those kids are hungry and I'm willing to do what you need to get done, right? You need some consulting because I got to tell you, I'm pretty wise. You know what I mean? I need a couple burgers for those kids right there. And then I'll do hard labor. I'll do whatever it is. So,
I'll clean your
recognizing.
toilet.
I will.
Right.
Like, I mean, seriously, like, let's just make this clear for any trolls that might be out there. I will not, change my value system.
Right.
I'm not pimping myself out, not flashing you, anything that's within my value set, I'm in. I don't care if I have to move bricks, dig ditches. It doesn't matter. And if you recognize that your value has nothing to do with your occupation, nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank,
Amen.
You can do it with fervor and a vigor and go, yeah, I'm going to be the best freaking, ditch digger you've ever seen. You just teach me I know how to do this. You teach me where you want things and I will learn because I will profit from that pain. I will not allow my self-esteem, right? Because and this is from Evict the Bully in your head, self is a neutral character. It depends on who its influences are. If they're negative, you have bad self-esteem, negative self-esteem, you think poorly of yourself. If you've been influenced by the Headspace heroes, then you can totally grip your life and recognize your value. So that's what I would do. I would encourage them, if they have a phone, to get Overdrive. It's free with your library and start listening to positive things. Listen to, people that are delivering value and are wanting to help you encourage your life. You don't have to spend money to build a business. It's easier. I recommend it. But again, I started my first business at 12 years old. I had no money. I needed to earn money. And so I did. So there are options. And so start with HCI. How can I? Don't be proud. Go out. If you have to ask for help, if you have to ask for food, ask for the dang food. You can't think if you can't eat.
Yep.
And there are people that are willing to help you. And if they want to shun you, then they are not the kind of people you want to hang out with next time. Just take the food, say thank you very much, see if you can provide some value, and move on to someone else. But don't allow
freaking love it. I love you. I think you're amazing, amazing, amazing. And by the way, the French manicure is incredible.
Oh, I'm a licensed manicurist too. True story.
but I think that like I'm blown away. Like, you've got to come on my show more often.
Oh,
I think anybody that missed this today, if you're watching the replay, share this out. Everybody deserves to hear this. HCI. How can I?
Yes.
I love it. And it's Tony Robbins has the CANI, the constant and never-ending improvement. And, I think about things like that. Like he talked about, because I think people don't understand the value, and you mentioned this earlier, the consistency, right? People don't understand, like we see these people like Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield, and we don't understand that they did not become a success overnight. Vicki didn't become a success overnight. I didn't become a success overnight. It takes a long time. It does. And a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of hard work. Like, it's incredible. So, Vicki, from the bottom, the depths, the largest depths of my heart, I am so grateful you came on this show today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And, I hope that I brought some value to some of you people, and I hope that you will check out the series. Again, not because I want to sell you some books, because I want to change your life. I really do. And I know I can do it. I know I can.
I know you can too. I'm looking forward to your books. Actually, I'm really I have people send me. Do you know who Jeffrey Gitomer is? He's a really good friend of mine. So he just they send me. I love Jeffrey and Jen.
He's lovely. Lovely.
I love them. And I've got so many books. People send me books all the time. Like, how am I going to read all these? Anyway, I HCI. Well, how can I read all these?
Exactly, my friend.
I love it. That's my new life. How can I? You are awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody follow. How can everybody follow you? Where do you want them to follow you?
Oh gosh, I live stream every day at 6 p.m. Pacific on Facebook Live, Periscope, Instagram, and YouTube. So you can follow me on any of those channels. I love Facebook because I love being able to tag people and share it. My business page is Vicki Fitch 1. Pretty much across other social media platforms, it's either Vicki Fitch or what I call the curse of the underscore. It's Vicki underscore Fitch. I tried to get them all without the underscore, but then a lot of them had the underscore. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't even know which. I try and answer all of them, but anyway.
Do what I did. I put real, REAL in front of it. Real Ken Walls, and that's everything now.
It's hard to change at this point,
know,
but
I
absolutely love it. And if they want to go to, if you don't mind me saying, I have my group, right, the Fitch 5000, people that cheer me on because of my big, hairy, audacious goal. This is a BHAG for sure. I'd love for them to be part of that. And if you go to VickiFitch.com/5K, you can learn all about the 12 books, 12 months journey and how it help me get into schools, help me get on television, not because I want to have my own show because I really don't care, but I know I'd be good at it. But because I want to share the message with the world, I want people to understand their value. And if we start with kids, that's where the You Are Enough campaign comes in, is to recognize your value and start the bubble bumps early. Yeah. And making sure that we don't allow people in too close. And there's even a story in there about Uncle Ichabod, so I give names to things so kids can, so they can use terms that they don't have to try and explain why they're uncomfortable around someone. They can just call him Uncle Ichabod. I talk about a relationship with my step grandfather and how he was not a very nice person, and and that we have to trust ourselves and our children and stop worrying so much about what other people think about what our children do or say, and be more worried about what they feel. And we know if our kids are being spoiled and being rude, and we know when kids have an innate ability to recognize people that are not the kind of people they should spend time around. So help me get the message out. Let's partner together with the You Are Enough campaign and the 12 books, 12 months series. Again, it's to change the world. I want people to recognize their value. I really do.
Have you been on Gittimer's podcast yet?
I have not. I would love that intro.
It's going to happen. I'm going to make that happen. They're very good friends of mine. I love him and Jen, his fiance. I love them. They're amazing. So I'm going to make that happen. It's one of the number one podcasts in the world.
It's fantastic.
It's crazy. So Vicki, oh my God, my brain is, I can't think. I can't process right now. You're incredible. You're incredible. Oh. And I wish, are you going to the 10X Growth Conference?
I am not. No.
I wish you were. Patricia Lynn Burgess is going to be there hanging out in the private suite. I'm going to be in one of the suites there, and she's actually going to be in that suite, I think. So that's going to be awesome. But I'm so excited. You're amazing. We're going to do some great things. I want to help you in every single way possible. So we're going to do that.
I'm so touched, and I so appreciate it. I think hopefully my passion for people and helping comes through really well, because I want you guys to know you are enough just the way you are. But when you want to improve, it should be because of you, not because other people don't think you're enough.
You're a rock star. Holy crap. Let's everybody on here, unless you already follow her, go follow Vicki now. Go follow her. And Vicki, please, if you have the time, I know you're a little busy. What do you do with all your free time? I'm kidding. But
I know.
If you would go back and just put in some of your links to books, to everything, just put it in the comments, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. You're amazing. The world needs to know that.
Oh, I'm giving you a virtual hug right now.
I accept it. I love it.
Right, I'm even giving you my heart. My heart eyes are they're for Joel Calm. So Joel, if you're watching, honey, I love you. But you can have these. I always promised Joel on Blab that I was like, I heart Joel Calm. I only gave those to Joel. So, and then I gave them to Aaron. But anyway.
Well, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you. You guys all have, I know your day is going to be better after watching this. So have an amazing day. And HCI.
HCI, people.
How can I? How can I? I love it,
Okay.
Vicki. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye. See
everybody.
you guys.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.